All right. Well, Trevor, tell us a little bit about where you're at these days, what you're prepping for, and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, so I'm training down at Gainesville at the University of Florida under Coach Mike Holloway. We got a pro training group there of 15 to 20 some athletes. We train normally in like the mornings, early evenings. And yeah, so I'm down there fresh off the Olympics this past year. We have the Tokyo World Championships this year. And I figured the light giver me, Judd Logan me, I had a chance to break up training, and my coach thought it was a great idea. So here we are. I got to run a 400 last night and run some high hurdles again, turn back the clock a little bit.
Well, we'll get back to the present here in a second. Let's take you back to senior year of high school. How did you end up becoming an Eagle?
Yeah, so ironically enough, I did not want to be an Eagle. My sister went to college here, so I wanted to not do that. I wanted to take my own path. But I already knew Coach Clark, the sprints coach here at the time. He convinced me to come on an overnight visit. So I came on an overnight visit, watched a practice, watched a weight room session, got to sit down with Judd a little bit. And I mean, Judd can sell water to a boat, man. And just the atmosphere, the culture they created. By the time I left the visit, I went from not wanting to go to Ashland at all to knowing it was a formality to sign with Ashland at that point.
So you end up here, and it's been well documented, 10 national championships, 21 All-American awards. You lead the team to 3 straight team Division II championships. It just seems like it was a whirlwind while you were here, but it took a long time because there was COVID in the middle of it and everything else.
Yeah, so COVID ended up giving me a 5th year. I got 8th at the Olympic trials in 2021, had every intention of turning pro, and Judd called me into his office to talk about it, and I vividly remember standing outside of his office taking a deep breath going, no matter what he tells me, I'm not taking my 5th year. 5 minutes later, walked out of his office, all right, I'm taking my 5th year.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And I stepped out of the office and I was like, what just happened? How did that happen? So I was able to take my 5th year, which I think, looking back, was very important, considering all the events that happened in my 5th year with Judd passing away suddenly in January, us having a lot of coaching turnover. For me and my fellow 5th years to kind of be that steady hand that steadies the ship and keeps the hands on the wheel to kind of help keep things somewhat normal for the freshmen, the sophomores. And I think that was something that was almost fate at that point, because if the 5th years weren't around, who knows what could have happened. We still ended up getting 2nd at indoor nationals as a team, and we unfortunately got 5th outdoors and just missed getting a trophy, which broke our streak of I think 13 straight, something like that, something crazy. So yeah, I mean, it was a whirlwind. I came to Ashland fully expecting to be a relay contributor, to be hopefully a national champion by the end of my career. But that was something Coach Clark saw so much more in me. We talk about that light giver that Judd always talks about. In my mind, Coach Clark's my light giver, because he saw that I could become a professional, become an Olympian. He was able to push me to something I didn't see at the time, and that's how you end up with 10 national championships, 21 All-Americans, 3 team titles between him, Judd, my teammates, and just the culture here. The culture at Ashland just breeds excellence.
And you did that competing here most of the time without this.
Yeah.
You were back in the old field house trying to get it done just like every other athlete in school and team tried to here. But the difference was, like you mentioned, the coaching and the people you were with, because the hurdles group, the sprints group, the relays group, you talk about Miles Pringle to you, and everybody else was in a Channing.
Yeah.
And it was just a great time to be here, wasn't it?
Yeah, man. I mean, my 5 years here, I think, were some of the peak years of just Ashland University sports. Mm-hmm. I mean, I remember my freshman year, the football team made the playoff with Travis Tarnowski and hosted a home playoff game. And I remember the women's basketball team was doing well, because I think my first year was still a part of that massive undefeated streak. Mm-hmm. I remember they went to play UConn. And then something Kurt Roberts mentioned during his Hall of Fame speech is a rising tide lifts all boats. And we were able to be a big part of that rising tide. And it's just there's something in the water at Ashland, man. I mean, you look at this small school in the middle of nowhere between Cleveland and Columbus that's produced Olympians in track and field, handful of professional football players, without the great facilities. We didn't get the NIST center until my 5th year. And we were training in this 147-meter bank track from the 60s. Rest in peace to it, man. I loved it, and I loved to hate it. but I still have a piece of the track in my bag.
Oh, wow.
When I heard they were tearing it down, my teammate and friend Rachel grabbed the piece for me. So I have it in my bag wherever I go.
That's
as like a nice little piece of remembrance of sort of our roots. And Judd didn't let us use it as a crutch. Like, we have this facility. It almost gave us like this Rocky Balboa versus Drago feel, where like Drago has all these facilities, these scanners, technology. Rocky's just in a barn in the mountains, like shoulder pressing a wheelbarrow full of rocks, and you just walked out of that facility feeling tougher, and you show up on meet day to a nice facility, be like, you train in this every day? We train in this dump, and we're going to show up here and still whoop your butt. Like, it was something we were able to take pride in.
That's outstanding. And then ever since you've left, you've been training to get to the Olympics. You've got a couple world championships, but you got to the Olympics last year for the first time. What was that experience like?
It was everything, man. It was everything I dreamed of. The pressure of last year was really tough because I'm 26 years old. I understand the 400 hurdles especially are a young man's game. I understood that if I didn't make that Olympic team, it might be my only real shot, because who knows what life is like 4 years. 4 years before now, I didn't know I was going to be one of the top 400 hurdlers in the world. So a lot can change in 4 years. But, I mean, it was everything. Going over to Paris, the village was an experience. The opening ceremony was fantastic, closing ceremony, and the atmosphere was unbelievable. And it felt almost like fate when they released that the track was like this light shade of purple. For the first time ever, it was going to be a purple track. And it just felt right. And it just had this feeling of like, no, like, that's purple. This is Ashland. I'm supposed to make this team.
And it wasn't just you. I mean, Katie's been there a couple times. To have two people from Ashland University, a Division II college, being at the Summer Olympics, I mean, that had to be wild.
Yeah, I mean, Katie's been doing it for a while now. Katie was able to leave with another medal. Unfortunately, didn't go as well for me, but yeah, man, Katie's been awesome. Katie's been almost like a mentor to me, especially when I first turned pro. Going to some of these international meets, you don't know a lot of people. And if people in my training group aren't traveling, it can be a little difficult. When I first made the world team in Serbia in 22, when I was still at Ashland, I didn't know anybody. And the first person I saw in like the cafeteria was Katie. I pulled up, sat beside her, and she kind of helped me, just kind of like talking me through things and bringing me along. So Katie's been an awesome resource, and she's one of the nicest people. Like, Katie doesn't know a stranger, and yeah, she's just been phenomenal.
I love in these Eagle Rewinds to allow you, the participants, to brag on their significant others. She's standing right here, so go ahead and tell the world about Harley.
Yeah, Harley Bassitt, my lovely wife. I met her here freshman year at FCA.
Good place to meet someone?
Great place to meet someone. We started dating in January of 2018, got married October of 2022. And yeah, she's been my rock. She's been everything. I tell her pretty much at least yearly that I wouldn't be where I'm at without her, because being the spouse of a professional track athlete can be hard. I'm gone a lot of the time. I show up home, I'm tired. I might not want to help with meals or dishes or anything. And she kind of has to pick up that slack every now and then. And just knowing that, like, a lot of times, like, I'm really stressed out, especially as we get towards that U.S. championship season when it's a war zone out there at U.S. champs. It's the hardest team in the world to make, so she understands I'm stressed out. That can be my main focus. She doesn't hold it against me. She helps guide me along. She doesn't let me get too high on myself. She doesn't let me get too low either. And she's always there to support me, keep me in check, remind me of my faith. And yeah, I would not have the medals, the accolades, or have made an Olympic team without her.
And finally, we always finish these with, if someone comes up to you, they want to come to Ashland University, they're thinking about it, or their son or daughter is thinking about it, give us your sales pitch.
Sales pitch? I mean, just look at what we've done. Like, this is a school that prides itself on athletics. This is a great facility. We have good facilities, but compared to some of the other D2 schools you go to, we have one of the top football teams. We have one of the top basketball teams. We've been one of the top track teams in Division II and just all divisions for the last 25, 26 years. The culture is unmatched. Every school talks about culture, but Ashland University, you come watch a practice. You come to a weight room session. You come to a sporting event. and tell me you don't leave being fired up. The atmosphere here and the culture just breeds excellence. You saw it last night with AG's post-collegiate athlete Rachel throwing a world lead. I come out here, run my fast opener in the 400. There's just something about Ashland University that brings out the best in you as a person and as an athlete.